Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tom Buchanan from East Egg, Long Island, here to present the case of Jack Merridew. We've all heard of him, the young teen famous for escaping the island him and his fellow students were stranded upon due to an unruly plane crash. I'm here to express my concern for his safety and mental health. You see, we live in a society where people are bullied for being different, and after an experience such as this, he isn't the same as he was before. He'll be treated differently, people will avoid him or pester him because of what happened on the island, and he will crack under all the pressure and exposure on social media. Jack Merridew is enrolled in a private boarding school where he is head boy and is a part of a choir. Specifically, chapter chorister, meaning that he's involved in extracurricular activities and he is deemed responsible enough to be a role model to others. He's a good kid, rarely gets in trouble, always obeys his elder, and is a prime example of a great student. He possesses immense academic potential and could easily make it to big universities such as Harvard, Duke, or even Yale. I played football at Yale. Those were great times. And now I'm out playing pole with my buddies, I'm married, I'm successful. I'm living a terrific life. Unfortunately, Jack might never get that. He might not be given the opportunities that every child deserves because of his relation to the deaths on the island. The island was located in the Pacific Ocean. There was no evidence of human life on it, signifying that they were completely isolated from civilization. The plane was carried away to the middle of the sea, far from shore, taking the radio, pilots, supervisors, and emergency kits along with it. The boys had no one but themselves to rely on. They were all young and ranged between the ages 6 to 12, with Ralph and Jack as the oldest. They were placed in an unfamiliar environment without adult supervision or any guardians to enforce regulations, so the boys made their own. Ralph was named chief, and Jack, trying to aid in helping them all live harmoniously until they were rescued, complied to the rules and convinced the rest of the group to as well. He told them that they were civilized young men from England and that they will be the best, just like the rest of the English, and formulated a rescue plan with Ralph and Simon. They built shelters, a signal fire, and collected fruits to live off of, but once the fruits weren't enough for some older boys, Jack began to hunt. The hunting got out of hand after the first rescue attempt failed. Jack didn't know how long they'd be stuck stranded for afterwards and continued to go after pigs. The boys in the group no longer looked to Jack as an authority, but blamed him instead for them still being stuck on the island, immediately turning their back on him, lowering his confidence. The desire of staying alive is a biological influence on human behavior, and that's exactly what hunting is. Heck, I would hunt if I were in their situation. All they wanted to do was survive. However, Jack got a thrill from the killing because it relieved him of some of his anger, making him seem more powerful than Ralph, and the action slowly earned others' respect back. In other words, becoming savage and gaining power through intimidation. Before being rescued, Jack separated himself from the group because the majority of them didn't agree with hunting so often. If the two groups could have compromised on the amounts of hunting needed, perhaps Jack wouldn't have become so hostile and violent against them. The boys could have also been kinder to him, for he was only trying to assure that all the children were fed and none would die of starvation. Jack endured numerous traumatic experiences on that island. He witnessed the death of two of their peers, killed his first living being, spent days and nights battling against Mother Nature, and lived in fear of a terrible beast. From the very first day, the boys were aware of a monster living up on the cliff, due to the strange and eerie noises coming from above them. So, the boys hunted and left a pig's head on a stick as an offering to it. The very same day, Simon found a dead paratrooper with his parachute still attached, and realized that the flapping of it was the sound made by the beast. He brought it down to them at nightfall, and the boys heard the sound, immediately assumed it was their beast, and beat Simon to death without knowing that it was him. What do these two situations have in common? They were both done out of fear. The offering may have seemed as a joke, but I believe that the boys were truly scared and thought that if the beast accepted the offering, it would stray from their shelters and this would protect everyone on the island. Simon's death was accidental. No one intentionally wanted to kill him. When they heard the noise and the large figure the parachute created, their minds automatically assumed it was the beast and went ahead to attack it. These boys were scared, especially Jack. He needed to stay alive so he could go home. Being so distant from civilization and society has turned him savage. He didn't need manners on the island, nor did he need to look and act properly as he did at home. Jack Merridew forgot his origin and adapted to a lifestyle on that deserted island, so when he did return home, his behavior became a problem. In my opinion, I wouldn't have been able to survive that. I grew up with everything handed to me. I depended on everyone around me, and I still have trouble today being independent. I live off of my wealth, while he, a 12-year-old boy, lived off of nothing. There was no technology, no markets, no houses. He built them and survived by hunting and scavenging for food. All the things he did was to survive. I'm not saying that what he did was right when he was violent towards the group, but I'm saying that he should be punished and he should be placed in a hospital to be cared for. We just can't throw him back into society and expect him to be back to normal. He needs to be slowly eased into it. He could be a threat to the people around him with his vicious behavior, so keeping him in a safe place and helping him relearn everything with doctors and psychologists there to evaluate his behavior and to give him the help he needs would definitely be an improvement to his course of life into society.